Hey guys, and welcome to a new episode of The Terra Show. Resident Evil Revelations 2 has been released, and Capcom is going to release it in episodes. This week we're going to talk about episodic content, but first let's take a look at your comments. Fantasy Freak 999 has a huge problem with what we were talking about last week. The argument that a game needs a story in order to make it a game is ridiculous. Even though I don't personally play them, sports games never have a plot, and they're still games. I'm pretty inclined to agree with you on this one, especially since the oldest games, like Pong, don't really have a story. Are the ancestors of our favorite games not games? That's ridiculous. Epic Slendy as Epic doesn't really like the simulator games. I don't see how people like these simulator games. Sure, they were fun at first, only for about 2 months, and then they started flooding the market of indie games. It seems like the obscure simulator game is really cheap and really easy to do, so a lot of indie developers are jumping on it. Yeah, it can get kind of tiring. And last but not least, James is sticking up for games of all kinds. Can't stand those pretentious idiots that say some games are not games just because they're extremely simple or short or too silly. It's electronic, it's got controls, it has an objective, it can be played, it's a game. I think you mean video game, because of course there are board games and things that are not electronic, as people did reply.
Please be alive.
So you finally came.
Now let's talk about episodic gaming. Releasing the story of a game throughout a bunch of different installments is nothing new. Telltale Games has pretty much got this down to a science, and they're working with Lionsgate on something spectacular, but more about that later. We here at Zoomin Games just think Telltale does episodic gaming right. On the other end of the spectrum, we have Valve, which promised to release 3 episodes of Half-Life 2 and never even released the 3rd one. I personally don't see very much difference between episodic games and just different downloadable content or installments of games. Other than the fact that if you do it in episodes, the episodes are actually really important. No one in their right mind will say they've completed a game when they've only done episode 1. So it's a little bit more important, which makes it a little bit more important for developers to get that shit done. I can't imagine the ridiculousness of a company that is so huge and so profitable saying something and then not delivering. Other than Telltale, there's a bunch of other gaming companies jumping on the episodic gaming bandwagon.
Start from the beginning.
Max? Square Enix introduced Life is Strange at the end of January, and they're expecting their 2nd episode to launch in March. The game was written from the ground up as an episode-based adventure game, and it's been praised by critics and gamers alike. And as I mentioned before in the beginning, Capcom is now jumping on the bandwagon as well with one of their most important franchises, Resident Evil. On one hand, I feel like Resident Evil could definitely do well as an episodic game. On the other hand, I feel like anytime a developer makes a big change like this, they're probably just doing it to jump on a bandwagon or get some kind of money. So I'm a bit torn with this one. However, it does seem like Capcom is doing right by us with episodic gaming. The end of the 1st chapter had an amazing cliffhanger. Also, they're only releasing each episode within a week of each other, which means it's going to be like watching a TV show like Game of Thrones or The Walking Dead. It's not going to leave you hanging forever. I mean, with Telltale's games, we usually have to wait 4 to 6 weeks to see the next episode, which isn't that long, but still. On the other hand, people can make mistakes or not finish the game if they don't have enough time to prepare. So, how finished are these games going to be? I think if they can somehow anticipate exactly how things are going to go and make things absolutely perfect and make sure the game is finished, then a weekly release is definitely better. And this is from a gamer standpoint and a marketer standpoint. Gamers are going to be happy with more content more often, and of course, they're going to be making more money because more people aren't going to get sick of waiting. If the developer gives us false hope and then doesn't deliver, that's the fucking worst thing in the world. But if they can do it right, complete the games on time, send them out in a timely manner, and make us happy, then I'm happy. And then there's this new project with Telltale and Lionsgate I was going to tell you about. They're going to be releasing a super show, which is basically a game and an episode of a TV show all in one. It's up to you whether you play first or watch first, and whichever you do first and however you do it affects the other. I think this is an awesome and innovative idea for people who love video games and those who are addicted to TV shows. It's kind of like a crossover. Do you guys like episodic games? Are you guys excited for the new Telltale and Lionsgate crossover? What do you guys think? And what's your favorite episodic game so far? I feel like mine would probably be The Walking Dead. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you check out more of my channel down in the description. And as always, your comments will be read on next week's show, so don't forget to share. Bye guys.